Yellowjackets, episode 6, with Chompy McGee over here.
I'm sorry, I just wanted a quick bite of an apple.
We don't got time for food
No time.
on Sinister Cinema, okay?
Yellowjackets.
People want us to talk about this shit instantly. Is that your actual? No, it's not bad. It sounded like. That's, yeah.
That was better.
So we find out at the opening. I think I said this is called Saints. Although, yeah, whatever. So we find out in the opening that Lottie is auditioning for Final Destination 6, and she got the role because she has a premonition of some sort, which stops her and her family from being hit by a truck and killed potentially. So now I think at this point, this episode, I'm gonna have to say that we are definitely supernatural.
Yay!
Like, I don't...
It's supernatural!
It's subtle
It is.
supernatural
It is.
still, right?
It's subtle, but it's like tipping the scales now. Where before it was like, it could be mental illness, could be like, a metaphor for trauma and all of that. And I still think all of that applies, but it's just a little bit too weird and too convenient for it to be entirely
That being
symbolic.
said, I'm not 100 yet. The only reason I say that, I know I keep being the guy that's like, hold on a second, guys. As I've said a million times over now, I'm the skeptical guy who's getting eaten by a werewolf, and all I'm doing the whole time is looking for a zipper. Okay? That's all. So, anyway, the only reason I say this is because when we were seeing this deer with, the shedding of the antlers and all that stuff, I was like, this reminds me of Hannibal, mm-hmm. Right? So, Will Graham in that is seeing this, big, what is it?
It's like a stag.
Yeah, something like that. He keeps seeing this reoccurring image, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think Hannibal is supernatural?
No, but I think that show is very different than this one.
How?
I don't think, first of all, like, this one they have the isolation, and there's obviously, like, something weird happening. There's a mystery that's going on in this one where we don't have all of the pieces to put the picture together. But in Hannibal, and I haven't finished all of it, but at least in the first season that I watched, it's more of, like, a deep dive into, like, a man who is psychologically unwell.
Okay, but...
And serial killers in general.
But that is a show that focuses on two primary characters. Mm-hmm. Hannibal and Will Graham, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine if Will Graham's character was a side character in a bigger show, and really the only exposure we got to his mental whatever the hell that is in Hannibal is just shown in bits and pieces throughout the rest of the show. You would probably think it was supernatural, but because the show focuses on it fully within the show Hannibal, we kind of know what's going on, but with Lottie, we don't really know what's going on.
I get the point that you're making, and I guess I agree, but I don't think that really matters for Yellowjackets, because Lottie's not the only one that's experiencing, like, weird supernatural stuff. Like, in this episode, there's something, and even in previous episodes, Taissa, there's something going on with her. Like, she's been seeing visions since she was young of this eyeless person. Mm-hmm. And, obviously the end of the episode is like, well, is that, what's happening there when she's in the tree? Yeah. So, I think that because there's multiple characters who are experiencing those strange phenomenon, I think that's really a good way to point it being more supernatural than psychological. But that's just how I feel about it, and that's also because I want it to be supernatural too. So
make no mistake about it. If I'm betting money, it's supernatural. In fact, I think it is supernatural. Mm-hmm. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm playing Mr. Skeptical. Okay. But I'm telling you that I definitely think this is supernatural at this point. I'm just saying there is ways out of it at this point still if they want out of it. I just don't see that happening.
Well, but I think that it can still be a supernatural show and be, like I was saying, a metaphor for mental illness,
Sure.
Like, I think that it can have all the elements where it's like things are happening outside of them that make it, something unnatural, but at the same time, it's all like kind of paralleling what they're going through with the plane crash and the survival and then everything afterwards.
But at what point in the show does it stop being metaphorical and it starts just straight out being supernatural in your face? Like, there's got to be a point to which we get to in this show. Let's say it goes 5 seasons, because somebody said that the creators of the show have 5 seasons of this mapped out.
Which is
right?
Exciting.
So if that's true, I mean, we're not going to stay subtly supernatural the whole time.
No.
Right? We're going to get like, if you remember the first season of Lost,
right,
there is like subtle things going on at first. Then we start to see the smoke monster coming through and you're like, But then there's kind of this almost explanation of it, of like, oh, it's this defense mechanism of the island, and maybe it's being controlled by this Dharma initiative and whatever. Fast forward the clock a few seasons, and there's literal gods fighting over the island.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's going to extrapolate, and at what point does it not become that metaphorical, like, oh, it could be interpreted? No. It is straight up.
A good example, though, Drag Me to Hell is a movie that does that very thing where it's, like in your face, supernatural, but at the same time, the entire movie is a metaphor for an eating disorder. So I think that they could still go really big. Like, I think the first season, maybe even, the beginning of the second season, although truthfully, I think by the end of this season will be full-blown, like, supernatural things are happening. I think they can get away with the first season being subtle and then amping everything up, and it's still kind of carrying that weight that I'm talking about with the symbolism.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as far as where that will happen, that's, I guess, what I just said. I think the beginning of the next season is when things are going to get, like, really weird and crazy.
I don't think so. I think it, like, with most shows have, they have builds, swells, and then calms, and then builds and swells and calms, right? Like the ocean. Like, a season's always building to its climax. Then in, the beginning of the second season, it's still kind of amped because of how it is, and then it kind of tapers off a little bit to calm things down, to, flesh things out, and then they build and they build. But anyway, you could be right. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So,
Sure you do.
Right. So now, as I said, I definitely think supernatural stuff is happening here. Now, if you want to say it's like, oh, this is all metaphorical, I don't give a fuck. It's really, if it is metaphor, or if it is supernatural or not, is what I'm trying to figure out. I don't think that this show's so artsy that it's one of those shows that's supposed to be like, oh no, you're not supposed to be taking any of this literally. You're supposed to be seeing it metaphorically. I don't see that as this show, right? There's definitely things that I've watched that are artsy and out there and off-kiltered, and you watch them and you go, okay, I get everything is not really making a lot of logical sense. And I'm not going to try to make sense of it because I understand this is some artist's interpretation of some kind of, symbolic thing to, whatever. That's not this show to me. This show is pretty straightforward for the most part. Everything is making sense. There's nothing super artistic here. There just so happens to be people that are having, like these crazy drug trippy kind of visions or things happening in their life. And every character is having it to some extent, but other characters are definitely elevated to a much higher amount. So, but yeah, anyway, so that's it. As far as the whole supernatural thing goes, I just wanted to talk about that really quick. But Lottie sees some bloody antlers, and then at the end of the episode, this comes to fruition, and that same deer shows up. Now, whether or not she just saw that deer out in the woods, right? Now we do see, is it Taissa? Somebody comes up to her and looks over and doesn't see anything, and then she looks back and sees that same deer. So that suggests that that deer isn't there. She's having a premonition. She also has another premonition later. We'll get to that, but that one it suggests that what she's seeing, especially with the one when she's a kid, that she has visions, and that maybe that is her power, and it's being suppressed by her drugs. And when she can't take the drugs anymore, her powers are coming back.
Sure, yeah. I mean, her mom and dad are having a conversation about, taking her to see a psychiatrist and to get on medication. And the mom is definitely, of the opinion that it was a premonition. So, I think that she had this ability the whole time, and that whatever she was taking was suppressing it. Absolutely. So, but that deer it's weird because it's moving later on in the episode when Natalie
Travis
and Travis are in the plane. They see it walk by.
Oh, it's definitely alive,
but it's full of maggots.
So of course this goes to the fact that there's now a curse that they've invoked by doing this seance up in the cabin's attic, right? And it's basically you're not gonna, the food will rot, right? The crops will. This is very typical sacrifice stuff, right? The sacrificial stuff is always because the crops are failing, or the meat has went rancid and is filled with maggots. This is very, very standard, curses.
Sure, but there's no, as far as I know, is there a way for there to be an animal that's alive but has a bunch of
filled with maggots like that? Absolutely
that's
not.
Supernatural, right? That animal was already dead for a long time.
Sure, and they all see it, right? So yeah, this thing is completely filled with maggots, on its fucking on its organs. Okay, so maggots only eat dead flesh, right? That's the only thing that they will eat. They used to clean out wounds by putting maggots into them, and the maggots would clean the wound out by eating what's dead and leave the fresh, healthy tissue alone. That was a medical practice before we had, other things that we have now. But so the fact that this thing is completely filled with maggots on the inside. Now, if this just had a wound that was filled with maggots, that would make sense. But to cut it open and it is internally, filled with them. This would suggest that this animal is dead and has been dead for a while. So the fact that they see it move, definitely. Now, we never see it walking around or anything, but something slinks by.
I thought something could be dragging it by, because they sort of see it from an angle where
but they still had to shoot it. It's just going to be laying on the ground. Got it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That kind of just ruins what I was going to say, which is that somebody was dragging it by, and then
maybe they're just staying out of frame on a rope and dragging, and they're like, hit it. It's just like this, dragging across the ground. And they're like, it's crawling away. Get it.
It's awful. So obviously it's moving on its own.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene was pretty gnarly, and it would definitely freak you out. Taissa is very much, she's diplomatic and pragmatic, and she's already kind of deciding earlier in this episode when she's with her lesbian lover that the best course of action is for them to save themselves and to go off and try and find civilization or something. I agree with her. We both did. 100%. Because staying there, it would be different if they had a steady source of food. But even then, it's you don't know when people are going to come and save you. And I know that there's a certain amount of time. There's a certain amount of time you should probably wait around. But after a while, especially with the fear of winter coming, you would really want to be on the move. So
they shouldn't all go. Just like in the movie Alive, the real true story, they sent out their two strongest men. I think they sent out. Wait, did they send out 3 and 1 died along the way? I think maybe that's what happened, or 2 went out. It's been a long time since I saw that movie. Whichever. They don't send everybody, right? You gotta, although at that point with their situation, I think that was just, these are the 2 guys that are strong enough to go.
Like, leave in general. Yeah.
And with these girls, they're all strong enough to leave at this point.
The only one that isn't is the coach.
But honestly, you do need someone to stay behind because, of course, the general rule of being lost in the woods is to stay where you're at, and we'll find you. It's harder to find you if you leave, especially from the wreckage, where they would think a black box was, but Misty kind of rectified that problem. I shouldn't use the word problem, but it's a problem now.
Yes.
She created a problem.
Yes.
How about that? But yeah, I definitely think that Taissa, as you said, is pragmatic, and I agree with her 100%. I'd be the one that was like, we need to go. We need to go right now. I almost feel like that's why they handicapped the coach, because he would definitely be the person that was like, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring back help. I need you guys, and he'd probably take Travis with him or something, right? Because men are sexist and think women can't do fuck all.
Only sometimes.
Right. So, have you ever birthed a little roasted chicken and ate its leg after you gave birth to it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hopefully.
Well, let's get to it because I'm hungry. How long is the gestation period that I have to wait?
Like 3 hours to get
that's
roasted?
not long. That's not long. I can wait.
Yeah?
Yeah. If it's 9 months, I can't wait for that.
No, it's pretty quick.
Okay.
You just gotta turn the temperature up.
It's just like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah.
Huh? This is a little chicken, though.
Gotta baste it. Paste it? Baste it?
Well, basting, it's how it gets in there.
Oh. Yeah, that dream was very... Like, I thought that was actually her giving birth in the beginning of the scene. And I was like, holy shit, they jumped forward so fast. Like, she's fucking giving birth already. And then it got super weird. And she wakes up in the attic, too. So that's, don't sleep in the demon attic if you don't want to have dreams about chickens coming out of your... Roasted chickens coming out of your,
Well, of course, this is just, a combination of her guilt mixed with her insane hunger. And she's just famished, as they all are. They're all freaking out because they can't find any food. And when you're hungry, this is when you start turning on each other. Mm-hmm. So the hunger is kicked in. They brought back the animal. You've got freaking Jackie going off on Natalie for coming back and being like, oh, you've been too busy out there fucking, you little slut. Like, where's our food? Mm-hmm. When Jackie's the one who's not doing anything and has to be talked into doing anything by Shauna, but she's still constantly complaining about everything. Mm-hmm. So she's the one that everyone wants to turn on very easily. But yeah, I mean, this is always when things go sideways for human beings, is when you fuck with their food supply. People do not function well. It's Snickers commercial. Yeah. Perfectly illustrates that, right?
You're not you when you're hungry.
That's right. You're not you when you're hungry. And this is absolutely accurate. And, this is her guilt getting the best of her. Of course, she's having this baby and whatever, but she's perceiving it as food because, and I think people could take this as like, see, this is like the baby's going to be up on the auction block to be fed to the demons, which I suppose that's it, but I think it's just a mixture of her hunger and her guilt.
I think it's the hunger and guilt, but I also think that, like something's going to happen with the baby because the timeline we talked about the last episode, it doesn't line up with her daughter now, who's only 16 and it's been 25 years.
Something like that.
Or 20 or whatever, but either way, it doesn't line up. So what happens to that baby? And she is... unable to go through with her makeshift abortion, which thank God she decided to stop doing that because that scene was really hard to watch. I mean, it wasn't like graphic or anything like that, but it just is so shitty to think that, women have and do that, to give themselves abortions, and it's awful. So anyway, but like she doesn't have the abortion there. She's there for a long time. The kid is either born or she gives like a stillbirth or has a miscarriage or something, right? All of those are possibilities as well. But I do think that her dream could potentially indicate sacrificing the baby or just, cannibalism in general.
I think the baby's getting sacrificed. I mean, I think that if we are going to go down this supernatural route like we are, and that there's some kind of like sacrificial lamb thing going on for some supernatural, being out there that needs specific kinds of blood or whatever. Travis is a virgin. Misty's a virgin, I think.
They think.
And then you've got the pure blood baby.
Jackie's also a virgin.
True. Yeah, she's making Jeff wait. So yeah, I mean, you got the virgin thing, which of course is another one of those big parts of the sacrifice bullshit of these rituals. But the baby, that's like the ultimate, right? So I would assume that baby is probably going to be born, or maybe even killed in the womb as a sacrifice. But at the same time, I mean, that baby would be inside of her. That'd be fucked up if her baby was born all covered in maggots as it comes out. Just like that deer. That's
God.
terrible.
That would be so awful. Yeah. Oh, man.
So, we get Shauna and Jeff going to Jackie's birthday party, which they have every year. And the mom tells her that she loves rabbits, which we find out in this episode is not accurate. But her mom sure as shit seems to think she knows her daughter. So much so that she starts comparing her to Shauna in a very malicious, vindictive way.
Yes.
And
so awful.
Then kind of comes the downer of the episode, which is us feeling really bad for Jeff.
Yeah.
Because he sticks up for her. Very knight in shining armor kind of way. Like, hey, like sticking up to somebody like who's a grieving parent. And
your dead high school girlfriend.
Sure.
Specifically. Yeah, that takes like, dedication for sure. Like you have to really believe what you're about to say.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty hardcore about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely made me feel really bad for him because it's like, we don't have like full confirmation that he was cheating or that he is cheating.
No.
It's definitely fishy. I mean, like in this episode as well, after they have this kind of touching car ride home where he tells her that he wouldn't have wanted to marry her. He didn't wish that he married Jackie and that, he loves her and they built this life together and all of that. He then at like, I don't know what time it is, but it's like super dark out. Yeah. It's very late. And he's like, I gotta go do inventory. So
yeah.
Seems weird to be doing inventory that late, but I don't know.
Well, he does kind of cough a little bit, like when they offer them money and she's like, we're fine. And he's kind of like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Right. So I definitely think he has some heavy money problems, which is, the two main issues that come up in relationships are kids and money. And she's outright like, I don't like my child.
Yeah. And he's like, it's a joke, haha.
And she's like,
yeah. And she's like, no, actually,
she literally like shakes her head. It's like, no,
it's not.
It's not an inside joke. I hate my child. I don't think they're coming for another birthday party.
No, I think this might have been the last one. And, that's a really tough thing for both of them to have, kept up with over the years. Because they obviously both feel, I mean, I don't know how guilty Jeff feels about it all. I can assume it's guilty, but maybe not as much as Shauna with everything that happens between her and Jackie and, what she's doing behind Jackie's back. So that's very awkward to have. But, I guess it's keeping up appearances, right? So they're going to the birthday brunch every year. The bedroom scene was really cool too when Shauna goes into Jackie's bedroom and is looking at her journal, which we were pausing to see what her favorite bands or favorite songs and movies were.
It's my generation. I just nostalgia's sake, I wanted to look at the bands and the music and the movie selection and all of that and see how period accurate it felt to me of what a teenage girl would be into at that time, which it all felt accurate enough. You know, I didn't see anything on there that I was like. Okay, there's a scene in Mighty Ducks 3 where Charlie is got this like love interest that he's gonna talk to. Like they're about to get on this bus or something, and they're just these like total like there are these like preppy kids, right? And he's like asking her, he's like, so like what kind of music are you into? And she's like, well, I really love Pantera. And he's like, yeah, I love Pantera too. And you're like, you never heard of Pantera in your entire fucking life. 100% you've never listened to Pantera. Just the band they picked was so out of fucking left field. It was like, that's what you went with?
Right.
No. These kids, I'm not saying, okay, there are definitely people who would be surprisingly into stuff that you would never expect. For sure.
Yeah.
But both of these kids into Pantera, I ain't buying it. Okay, so I just wanted to look at her little journal and see if Pantera was in there. Because she ain't fucking listening to Pantera.
And she wasn't.
You know, Natalie would be, for sure. But not Jackie. Not Jackie. Yeah, it would just be so funny if she was like top 10 favorite songs of right now or whatever. And it was like Cannibal Corpse, Slayer, whatever. I'd just be like,
well, yeah, that's not her type of music at all.
no, no, it is not. Anyways, I have seen all 15 movies that she put on her little list there. So I was, you know, and I'd heard of every single one of those songs except for one, the very last one, the 10th one. I had no idea what that was. I'll have to look it up maybe just to see. Like, and as soon as I hear it, I'll be like, "Oh, this song? That's what that was called."
That one.
Because there's so many songs from the '90s that I know. You know, I heard them a million times on the radio back then. You don't know what the fucking artist is. One-hit wonders and shit. Anyways, okay, so there are so many secret relationships in this show at this point. Like, I was noting it here because it's just like every other 5 minutes.
There's a secret relationship.
There's just some secret relationship. Whether it's true or not, right?
Sure.
Is the Misty and the coach's thing, which is not real. He's lying to her because he doesn't want to be killed by her. Because she is someone who would drug you and tie you to a bed in the basement of her fucking house. Right? So he has good reason to be lying to her. There's tons of them. You know what all of them are, but it was just making me laugh because I was just thinking about all the people in this that are just keeping it secret. Yes. Whether it's the lesbian relationship or, you know, as I said, it just goes on and on. So but it makes for good drama.
It does.
Right?
Lots of drama.
Lots of drama. So we get the $50K from Natalie selling her Porsche. I don't know if a used Porsche like that would be worth $50K, right? Like, just sold outright to a dealer.
I don't know.
I don't see that. I don't see $50K coming from a Porsche sold to a dealer. Dealers cut your fucking rate. They have to resell it.
Yeah, so
right?
They need to...
So you're telling me, I mean, they're going to cut that shit from what they're going to sell it for. They're going to give you probably not 50% at best. So you're telling me they're going to resell a used Porsche for $100,000? No fucking chance. How she got $50K for that car? She was sucking that dude's dick or something. Because $50,000, no way. I mean, she might just have $30,000 in the bank, and she was like, we don't see a price. He's not like, all right, $50,000, here you go, and he just brings out a briefcase. That didn't happen.
No, we don't know how much he actually sells it for, but
no. The coach has so many condoms.
He's got a lot.
And he has them. That's another thing. He has them.
Yes.
Right? So now it's possible they found their luggage and all of this and that. But we never really see them going through a lot of their luggage. Like a lot of it fell out of the plane and was destroyed in the fire and all that stuff. But, you know, he locates his rubbers and pockets them for some reason. I guess he would have just like, what, they just found each other's bags and then gave him, and then he went over and he's like, all right, we don't need a baby, so I'm gonna go grab those condoms. Like, I just hope he just didn't have them in his pocket this entire time.
I don't think so. I think he I think he put them in his pockets to give to Travis.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but they were probably, they found their luggage. They found bits and pieces of luggage and everything, so.
I was moving out of a house once, and I left a, big industrial size pack of condoms, 36 condoms behind. The Lifestyles from Walmart. I think could give you that,
I don't know.
Sam's Club type box. We're just swimming through them. And I came back to get whatever I may have left behind, and this girl that I lived with wasn't a relationship. Just want that to be known for anyone who cares. As I talk about condoms. But anyway, she handed me these condoms, and I just took them, and it was in the box, but I didn't have hands, so I just shoved them all in my all of them. I had 30 something condoms in my pocket, and then I just went on with my day. Completely forgot about them, and then I pulled them out in front of somebody,
and they were
because I was just oh, where is that? And I was pulled them, and I put them on, and I was never mind that.
The coach, though, has a lot probably not for moving.
For one trip.
For one
trip.
For
a
a
week trip.
day or something. 2 days, I think, is what Travis said.
Well.
So, I guess it's a good thing he had them, just in case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He meant to be doing a lot of fucking. He was gonna.
He was like Misty.
Yeah. He's like, Misty, we gotta go through this whole pack in one go. So, let's see. The coat hanger abortion. Taissa runs out to stop it. Mm-hmm. Lottie has a vision of Taissa out there dead looking, eating dirt.
Yeah, that was scary.
Now, is this a premonition from the future? We know that Taissa lives, but we do see Taissa somewhat feral.
Yeah, she's in the same kind of position, body position as that vision.
Yeah.
She's in a tree, so she's not on the ground, but she's crouched down, squatting, and looking creepy. Yeah. And she's got stuff on her mouth, blood, or paint.
Crouching Taissa. Hidden baby. She's. Sounds it makes. And we also get another premonition of sorts from a previous episode where Lottie is standing out in the water in the exact place where she was having her baptism by a church chick. Church chick. I don't know what her fucking name is.
I don't either.
Jesus lover.
Yeah.
She baptizes her right in that place where Lottie was sitting out there
yeah,
zoning off because she knew that's where something incredible was going to happen, I guess. And in that, she is transported to some freaking dungeon hallway, boiler room, Freddy Krueger's dungeon hangout.
Yeah, exactly. Where there's a bunch of candles, and she walks up to them and lights one.
Yeah.
And then she's back in the water.
Well, she lights one, and then the flame extends quite a bit. It really lights up.
Yes.
Right, so it's not just normally. It burns really bright. It gets really, really tall. So, and then when she comes to, she sees the sun behind Church Chick's head get super bright, and then Church Chick's face and her image becomes completely in shadow. Now, with the burning bright light of the candle and the burning bright light of the sun, what is this all pointing to?
I don't know. Maybe she's going to try and light them on fire, but probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to assume an eclipse will happen.
Oh.
Right? And during that eclipse, they're all going to have to,
that's really
light candles, and the sun's going to kind of get blotted out. And until they fucking perform the ritual, it's going to get really cold because there's no sun.
I
Yeah, and they're gonna have to do a sacrifice, and once they do, the sun will come back.
I like that a lot. I think that's actually really cool. Yeah, because she is literally looking at the sun, and it's being eclipsed by the silhouette of her face. So that would make a lot of sense. I like that theory.
There was an episode of something I watched where that happened. Where they were like, the sun went away or something, and then they were like thinking about sacrificing somebody. I want to say it was that 2000s Forrest Whitaker Twilight Zone show. I watched like all 46 or 43 or something episodes of it, and I want to say one of them was that. So I think that's where I got that from, even though I wasn't even thinking about it until I said that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, the Twilight Zone episode. If it was Twilight Zone, it might have been a different show. I've watched a fuck ton of those anthology shows, so could be anything. But that's my guess.
That's a good guess.
We'll see.
Yeah. Much better than mine of like that she's gonna burn people.
She's gonna like light a candle.
She's gonna, like there's gonna be some flames.
That might be it. I don't know. And then I didn't think of that at all until I asked you. You said that, and then I was just like, maybe this.
I like your idea a lot better.
Okay. Okay. Here we go again. You know what time it is?
Oh, pro tip.
Pro tip time.
It's
okay?
Pro tip time.
Pro tip. What do you think my pro tip's going to be?
Pro tip, when a guy is fingering you, don't laugh and tell him that he looked too serious. And pro tip number 2, don't ask anyone, or especially girls, how many people they've, like what number you are, how many people they've slept with.
Sure.
Was that it?
Yeah, it's the, it's the slut shaming.
Yeah.
It's the like, he's not asking in some kind of curious, inquisitive way, right? This isn't a like, let's be honest and open with each other just because I want to know you better. This is the like, I want to know how many guys you fuck because I want to know how big of a slut you are to see if I want to put my dick in you or not. This is pure nonsense and bullshit that guys have just this incredible double standard with women. Where men sleep with 1,000 women and they're awesome, and a girl looks at a guy for like 3 seconds and she's a horrible slut. As I've said 1,000,000 times, guys don't want you to be anybody's slut but theirs.
Well, and Natalie goes off on him for that, and she puts it very well, like it's unfair and there's a double standard between men and women, and she's like, the 50 is called and they want they want it back, and it's 1996, and all of that's really great, but also Travis isn't really trying to slut shame her though. He's asking because he's a virgin.
Sure.
And he feels insecure to think that she maybe has slept with a lot more people, or a lot of people in general. Obviously she's already slept with more people than he has, but I do think that he does it in a stupid, dickish way, but that he's not actually trying to be malicious about it. I think he's just, like I said, insecure and is like, oh God. And especially after, she kind of like giggles at him. He is like...
He is insecure.
He's insecure. Sure. He doesn't know if he's doing it the right way, and, all of that, so...
That's a good point.
There's that aspect. But in general...
My
yes,
rule still stands.
Yeah.
Don't be fucking judging girls for what they did before they met you, okay? That's just not okay. No. And, if you do have a problem with girls sleeping with a bunch of dudes before you met, then hopefully you yourself has not slept with 50 women before.
Don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're a virgin, or if you've only been with one person who was your wife and she died, or,
sure.
You guys broke it off, she left you, and you're wanting to get out there and date again, and you're like, I only want to be with someone who's been with one person. I don't know. I think you're limiting yourself, but... if that's your prerogative, that is what it is. But
just don't make other people feel like they're
inferior.
For having had a sexual life.
Right.
In any way.
Yes. If you think it's okay for guys to sleep with a bunch of people,
it's okay.
Then it's
for
okay
women
for women too.
As well.
So that's all there is to it. Anyways, moving on from pro tip. But yes, also if you're a woman and a guy is, you're being sexual with one another, it's not the most erotic and appealing thing to start laughing at them multiple times throughout. I get it. Sometimes it's ticklish and sometimes it's not. But it's like, oh my God, you're looking so serious. We're about to fuck.
Sure, but
I'm serious in the moment. Sorry.
That doesn't mean you can't laugh during sex. Like, that happens all the time, and that's fun and playful, but
she does it
she wasn't really
times.
reading him as well, but they're kids, and there's all those other factors.
They are kids, you're right.
But, yeah, sex is always, like, you know, it can be a sensitive subject, and, well, a sensitive, like, act for a lot of people, right? Like, you do have those hang-ups, where you're like, oh, fuck, like, I don't want to mess this up or look like a loser.
Yeah.
So, but...
You're right. Okay. And Misty is voyeuristically watching Natalie fuck, which is, pro tip number 3.
Don't voyeuristically watch non-consenting
adult
subjects.
Or anybody fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not okay.
No. But Misty's not okay.
No, Misty's so beyond not okay. So she drugs Miss Jessica Roberts here, who I read her business card as Jessica Rabbit for a half a second, and was like, oh shit, it's going to cross over with a Roger Rabbit movie? And yeah, Taissa, she is the confirmed,
Woman in the tree.
Yeah, the bad one. We had suggested that Taissa had an alter ego, a little second personality, dual personality there, and that she was going to be the one in the tree, which ends up being accurate. So, this just yet again goes along with this is the price of a blood sacrifice ritual.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they survived, and this thing still wants stuff from them, right? Like, it hasn't completely left them. Like, whatever they took has come with them to their life, and Thais is paying in that way. She's, feral, and now what she's doing, I don't know. I'm assuming she has blood on her face. I'm assuming she's out there hunting, killing animals.
Right. Or perhaps she hurt somebody from her family. But I think it's more likely it's animals that she's, like, killing and hurting.
Sure, because there's
so much animal
There's
stuff.
There's so much animal. I was going to say animal symbolism.
Yes.
In this show, and I put symbolism and animal together into one word. Hannibalism. Hannibal.
Yeah.
Hannibal going back. But yeah, there is that. We see so much of it throughout this show, and we even have Shauna killing rabbits, which is interesting because the mom says that Jackie's favorite animal was a rabbit. Yes. And she's out there murdering rabbits in her yard.
But she knows that Jackie doesn't like rabbits.
Yes, but this could almost foreshadow the fact that, like, she killed Jackie.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I definitely think... I mean, the rabbit is, like, again, with the animal symbolism, they're not predators.
No.
They're very
much...
helpless. Yeah, and Jackie's...
Cuddly.
Very helpless and cute, but, like, doesn't really provide a whole lot to the group as of late. I mean, she was sort of their cheerleader, but she hasn't really been doing a good job aside from that one time, but
yeah.
And then obviously Taissa, saw the wolf outside of her window when she had the spill painted on her door. So yeah, something's up. She doesn't seem to have
something's up.
She doesn't seem to have full memory either of what exactly is happening. I mean,
she seems to this time.
This time she does, but there was also, there's definitely, like, confusion on her face.
Yeah.
Where I sort of got the impression that she was, like, coming out of a trance, and was, like, maybe this has happened before, and she's, like, realizing, like, oh, God, this is happening again. Like, I thought it wasn't. But it definitely felt like, to me, she had some mild amnesia of, like, what... Because she was looking at the blood, like, what is this? Like, she didn't recognize, like, what was on her hands.
If this is kind of more like... Well, I don't honestly know too much about Native American stuff there, but if they were going down that route of, like, invoking spirit animals... right? And like when they do rituals, they kind of, I don't know, get these kind of like spirit animals that lie within them, and Shauna's become a wolf, and Taissa, like the wolves survived, and the other, you know, the lesser animals were the ones that didn't survive. I don't know. There's just so much animal symbolism here, and with Taissa acting feral and like an animal hanging out in a tree, and there's just so much talk about animals in this. I almost wonder if they have some kind of like animalistic things going on in them from the rituals, but that's just a way out there swing.
No, well, you mentioned like the Native American thing. If that does have any, you know, like if there is any relation to that, obviously like the Wendigo. Although I don't know, like
right, there's a lot of talk
location.
about Wendigo in my comment section,
oh,
by
really?
the way.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because like I don't know as much about like the folklore and like the myths of the Wendigo. I know kind of like the basics.
Saw antlers.
Yeah, but like the basics are, you know, that like if you eat like human flesh, like you get turned into this unhuman like creature, right? But I could have sworn that there was something about it with like shape-shifting too.
Sure.
So
is Jeffrey Dahmer a Wendigo then? No.
But it would be cool to look more into the folklore and like I said, the myths around the Wendigo and see, because I also always thought that was kind of like location specific as well. Although they're in Washington State. I don't know where I thought exactly it was located.
They
anyway,
can fudge that.
It doesn't, I guess, yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's made up.
But I do think like the animal
it.
stuff is very important.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to see Taissa in the tree looking crazy.
Yeah, we called that a while ago, but what she's doing in there and how that's going to play into the story and what fucking Misty's going to do with this girl. What's her intention there? Why not just kill her? Like she's going to keep her down there. Yeah.
She's psycho.
She is psycho. I don't think she's making it out of that room alive.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
but
excited.
we shall see.
We'll see.
They're about to go drop off the 50K. It's going down now, and Taissa's out there fucking looking like Mowgli from the Jungle
show
Book.
up and just be.
She looks like that. She looks like the cave woman from the X-Files episode.
Oh yeah, she does.
So, Eve.
Eve.
No,
that's not Eve. That's Eve
that's
6.
The other episode.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember what the cave
Twin
woman.
Kids one. What is that one called?
Eve 6.
Oh, it's called like.
Isn't it Eve 6? Because that's what the band is based on. The name of the band.
Yeah, but that's the kids. That's the kid episode. It's the twin girls who try to poison their.
You're
drinks.
talking about the cave woman episode.
The cave woman episode.
I can't remember either because the band didn't name themselves after it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's Jersey Devil.
Oh.
That's what it's called. Some fucking X-Files nerd was in there. He's like typing so fast. I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell him. He's gonna fucking cry because I'm so smart. Jersey Devil, fuck yourself. All right, guys, let us know. Adios.
Bye.